Hi everyone, here's some of what's heading your way tonight. Your news at 9. One man is dead after a crash in Joplin this morning. You're going to hear what investigators say was the cause.
A Parsons family is looking for answers and asking for help after 18-year-old Andrew Scott was seriously injured in a hit and run over the weekend. I'm Kate Kelly with his story just ahead.
A second type of COVID-19 vaccine is being administered in Joplin. Going to learn how much of the Moderna vaccine is expected to arrive in the coming weeks.
More high-profile health officials are receiving their first dose of the COVID-19 vaccine. I'm Mark Meredith in Washington. We'll have their message coming up.
Doug Eddy is weather tonight. Jacob Leonard has sports. This is KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Jordan Abbey. A Carthage man is dead after his car went off the Joplin Road and landed upside down in a creek. It happened this morning on Murphy Boulevard, just north of the Broadway Street Viaduct. Police say 28-year-old Alvaros Rivas died at the scene. The initial investigation indicates the car struck multiple light poles before overturning and going into that creek. Parsons, Kansas family is speaking out in hopes of finding the driver responsible for the serious injury of 18-year-old Andrew Scott. Andrew was hit by an unknown vehicle at 2:30 in the morning Saturday while walking home from a party and left for dead. KOAM's Kate Kelly shares a story of survival as he begins the long road to recovery.
Andrew Scott is a young man his family describes as vibrant and full of life, caring and generous. They just celebrated an early Christmas together when they got the call that he'd been hit by a vehicle after walking away from a party. His family rushed to be with him.
All he could do was cry out about how he felt like he wasn't going to make it, and that he was so glad that we were there. And that was the hardest thing, is to watch your children laying there in a way that, you can't do anything to help them.
I'm standing in the area where the hit and run took place. Somewhere along this stretch of 35th Street and Southern Avenue, Andrew was struck from behind. He managed to drag himself into the ditch where he waited for hours, calling for help before it came.
He was laying there trying to call for help, but he was not able to do it with any kind of force or any volume. He had punctured his lung, he had broken several ribs, he was just massively beaten and bruised and bleeding. And so he laid in somebody's yard for about 2 hours before someone got up in the morning and was taking their dogs out and heard him and called the police, and they responded to it.
Andrew was life flighted to Freeman Hospital in Joplin. With COVID restrictions, only his mother could be with him, but she phoned, and Andrew's older brother says hearing his voice was both a relief and heart-wrenching.
He was just completely heartbroken. Like, he was just in tears. He was like, "I miss you. Please, like, I don't want to be here. Like, I'm so scared." And I was like, "I know, bub. Like, I know you're scared. Like, it's, and it's really hard to hear your baby brother, as tough as he is, sound like that."
Police are still looking for the driver responsible for Andrew's injury. In a statement, Parsons Police Chief Robert Spinks said in part, "This kind of incident is tragic and upsetting for multiple reasons. First, that someone can hit a pedestrian and continue on without stopping. Secondly, we have heard that there are persons with knowledge of the possible suspect in this case, but are withholding this information in hopes of gaining financially from Mr. Scott's injuries and terrible circumstances." Andrew's family is asking for answers, knowing that having justice will be part of his healing process.
We'll come together as a community and we'll get through it. But I want to see that he knows that not only is the community there, but the people that were involved in this also, aren't going to just be able to walk away from it without any consequences.
In Parsons, Kate Kelly, KOAM News.
If you have any information regarding this case, please call the Parsons, Kansas Police Department. For those who'd like to help Andrew's family with medical expenses and other costs, we've included a link to their GoFundMe page in this article on our website. See it right there, KOAMNewsNow.com. Doug Eddy joining us now with our first look at the forecast. Windy day. It is really windy out there.
Yeah, it was super windy, but it was also fairly warm after a cold start at 33, 67 during the afternoon, pushing a record high. The record is 71, so back in 82. Average high is 45, so over 20 degrees above where we should be for this time of the year. We have had a lot of mid and upper level clouds kind of streaming through. These will clear out just a little bit over the next couple hours, and then we'll get more building in later on tonight as we are watching our next storm system, which is building out to our north and to our west. But it is windy. We still have these south winds at about 10 to 20 gusts, have been even higher than that. But our temperatures are staying up. We're sitting into the mid-50s. We're not going to drop off much tonight. A lot of changes moving in over the next couple days. We're going to look at that here in a bit.
Doug, thank you as always. The Jasper County Health Department is reporting the county's 98th coronavirus-related deaths. Officials say the patient was a woman in her 90s rather. The Joplin Health Department is reporting 3 more deaths, bringing the city's total deaths to 89. Officials say 2 of the patients were residents of a long-term care health facility, a 94-year-old man and a 98-year-old woman. The other patient was an 88-year-old man. Freeman Health System has started vaccinating healthcare workers against COVID-19. Freeman Health System received 300 doses of the Moderna vaccine and prioritizing staff who came into close contact with patients in a clinical setting. The hospital gave shots from 3 to 8 p.m. today and had vaccinated 45 doctors, nurses, and other staff in the first half hour.
I think this is the hope that we've all been looking for the future. With the vaccine, and once we get that widely distributed, I really feel confident that it's going to help us maybe not alleviate COVID-19 altogether, but make it much more manageable than it's been.
Now, employees who work with patients in a non-clinical setting will get the vaccine next. The Moderna vaccine, much like the Pfizer vaccine, requires 2 doses for full inoculation. Officials say the state has guaranteed those second doses will arrive before they are needed in 28 days. Well, today, the nation's top infectious disease experts and other health officials received their first dose of the Moderna coronavirus vaccine. It's another effort to shore up confidence that this new weapon against the virus is safe and is effective. Fox News correspondent Mark Meredith reports now from Washington.
I feel extreme confidence in the safety and the efficacy of this vaccine, and I want to encourage everyone who has the opportunity to get vaccinated so that we can have a veil of protection over this country.
Dr. Anthony Fauci becoming the latest high-profile figure to receive their first dose of the COVID-19 vaccine. The nation's top infectious disease expert was joined by Health and Human Services Secretary Alex Azar, NIH Director Dr. Francis Collins, and frontline health workers. They say the vaccine brings the world one step closer to ending the pandemic.
I believe that this is the way we're going to get through this.
Until doses become more widely available, state officials have prioritized making the vaccine available to those in vulnerable populations, like nursing homes and those working in hospitals.
There is no politics in the vaccination process. There is no politician in the state of New York who is in control of the vaccination process.
Recently, the vaccine became available to lawmakers up on Capitol Hill to maintain continuity of government. Critics arguing the younger members of Congress should wait until it reaches those more at risk. Even with this new weapon in the fight against the virus, Secretary Azar says more research is needed as to how long immunity lasts.
If you're getting vaccinated right now, still social distance, still wear a mask, but all these have to be data and science driven, so we're working to generate the data there so that as we go forward, we'll be able to advise people on a foundation of data.
There are also varying views as to when the government may be able to get the vaccine out to the general population, with officials hoping by late spring. In Washington, Mark Meredith, Fox News.
KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14 takes this time to honor one of our 4 state heroes. Russell Akins served in the U.S. Army back in 1945. And we are proud to thank Russell Akins, a native of Chanute, Kansas. He's tonight's 4 state hero. Doug Hitty's up next with a complete look at the forecast. And a bit later in sports, going to hear from a Pittsburgh High School football standout making his wrestling debut after only 2 weeks of practice.
It definitely turned out to be a warm, windy day for late December, the second half of December, and we have quite a bit of sunshine across the region. Fantastic day. Temperatures warmed near record highs, upper 60s during the afternoon. Great time lapse. Indigo Sky Casino and Resort, of course, just outside of Seneca, Missouri, but looks great. Temperature still really not that bad for us even right now. We are going to get a few sprinkles, a few morning showers in here tomorrow morning. Turning much colder, a cold front's going to roll through, and then a system on Sunday, and then again Wednesday. Of course, you can get my long-range forecast on my month-long blog. That is KOAMnewsnow.com. Look at our temperatures. We're still sitting mid, if not even upper 50s out across our western counties. We're not going to drop off too much more tonight. Southerly winds are going to keep our temperatures up. They're still kind of kicking in at about 10 to 20, and we're still getting winds gusting up there as well, 30, 35, 40, 45 miles per hour, so super windy, and the winds are going to stay strong for us tonight. Outside the station, currently sitting at 55, south winds at 20. Our humidity is at 55%. We have had a lot of mid and upper level clouds that have been streaming through. There's nothing underneath the clouds, so we are staying dry, but we're also watching a developing storm system out across the western high plains and also northern parts of the Rockies. This system is fairly weak. It's going to organize as it passes by, but it is going to drag a cold front through, and that's really going to drop our temperatures off quite a bit as we work through the next couple days. Already along the front, you can see rain and snow picking up across the Dakotas, parts of Nebraska, and then down through parts of Colorado. We're mainly going to be dry most of the night until late tonight. We're going to see a few sprinkles popping up. Here's 5 a.m. Let's go 6, 7, 8 a.m. Some light little showers, a few light little sprinkles kind of passing through the region, then quickly exiting as we work through the morning hours. But our temperatures will start in the 50s, will drop into the 40s by the time we head into the afternoon. In fact, here's your day planner: 51 to start, 50 by noon, and then 45 during the afternoon. It's also going to be windy once again tomorrow. It's just going to come out of the other direction behind the front. With the colder air working in tomorrow night, we go into lower 20s, and then on Christmas Day, or actually Christmas Eve during the day, we just don't warm up much, as we only warm into lower 30s for afternoon highs. Christmas Day, a little bit warmer after a very cold start. Saturday looks good. A weak system on Sunday will give us a few showers. That will pass on by. But a couple stronger systems roll in the middle of next week, where this could be some rain, possibly over to snow, as we head into New Year's Eve. So we got to keep our eyes on that over the next few days. 55 tomorrow, starting into the 50s and dropping, only 33 on Christmas Eve. If you're doing anything during the evening on Thursday, great evening to stay indoors. It's going to be cold. We're going to be dropping back through the 20s. So a cold start Christmas morning, but a pretty good finish. High temperature right around 44 during the afternoon.
Yeah, that wind is something, as you were showing those gauges earlier. 40-some miles per hour. That's a lot. Goodness.
Yeah, and it's going to stay windy again tonight.
Isn't that something? All right, Doug, we'll catch you in a little bit. Thank you so much. Coming up, the president-elect saying he's going to do more.
President-elect Joe Biden answering questions from reporters about a whole number of issues. I'm Jillian Turner in Washington. I've got the details coming up next.
President Trump came out strongly against the recent COVID-19 relief bill passed in Congress and is making new demands about what should be in the legislation. His announcement happened after President-elect Joe Biden delivered a message to the country about the coronavirus pandemic and national security concerns. Fox News correspondent Jillian Turner has details now from D.C.
President-elect Joe Biden shared his reaction to the latest developments in the fight against the coronavirus pandemic.
Our darkest days in the battle against COVID are ahead of us, not behind us. So we need to prepare ourselves to steel our spines.
Biden also took aim at the Trump administration over how it's reacted to the cyber hack of government agencies.
The Trump administration needs to make an official attribution. This assault happened on Donald Trump's watch, when he wasn't watching.
In his remarks, Biden did praise the relief deal reached by Congress, but in a new video posted to his Twitter account, President Trump voiced his displeasure with the COVID-19 relief bill, and he's urging lawmakers to make a number of changes, including increasing the size of the direct payments. His remarks come as he continues to dispute the results of the presidential election. A few Republican lawmakers in the House have now said they plan to challenge the Electoral College results on January 6th. The move is likely to fail, as both chambers would have to vote by a simple majority. Some believe the move will do more harm than good, while others want the process to play out.
It's looking very promising on the House side. We do need senators who will stand up for America, for our republic, for our election system. We'll see how that plays out.
In remarks to reporters, President-elect Joe Biden also said the investigation involving his son Hunter has not come up in his discussions with his pick for Attorney General. In Washington, Jillian Turner, Fox News.
All right, just ahead, one more example. There's many, but one more example of how man's best friend has refused to get the 2020 blues.
Therapy dogs have taken their comfort virtual this year. I'm Jackie Ibanez with more on how pet therapy programs have changed with the pandemic. That's coming up.
Join us for new.
Dogs have long given emotional support through therapy sessions, as many of us know. But those programs, along with so many others, have been forced to adapt with this pandemic. Fox News correspondent Jackie Ibanez tells us how these pets are providing comfort from a distance.
Humans aren't the only ones working from home during the pandemic. Therapy dogs are taking their work online too, spreading cheer through virtual visits. Before lockdown started in March, the canine crew volunteered at Stanford Hospital, giving emotional support to patients and healthcare workers. Now, with a little technical help from their owners, the dogs hold therapy sessions on Zoom at a time when stress, anxiety, and loneliness are at a record high.
I think people just really need a break, mental break, and I think the dogs really provide that.
While it may not be the same as getting a furry hug, participants say the online visits are still comforting during these isolating times.
It just gives me that smile on my face. It gives me that warmth in my heart. I have a hard time because I want to watch all of them, but there's so many there to watch.
But some pet therapy programs, like this one at a nursing home in New York, have resumed their in-person meetings. The residents are unable to visit with their families, so the dogs are providing some much-needed face-to-face interaction.
There's limited touch for them, and so with the dogs, they can touch the dog and they can have that tactile sensation which they're longing for and missing.
These four-legged therapists are actually perfect for virtual appointments. Studies have shown just looking at an animal can reduce stress levels. Jackie Ibanez, Fox News.
All right, ding ding, a panda versus a snowman. The match is far from fair, but cute nonetheless. Gonna get a visit to the zoo when we come back. All right, so let's call it like it is. This isn't really a fair fight as a giant panda fights a snowman. The one-sided brawl took place at the Moscow Zoo. Zoo workers hid treats around and inside the snowman and then placed it inside the panda's enclosure. The bear battled the snowman, first knocking off its head, then ripping its arms off. The panda snacks on a carrot finally, which of course is the snowman's nose. Ruthless! Absolutely ruthless! Come on though. The cute little guy. He's cute. He's having a good time. 30 more minutes, news, weather, and sports coming your way.
We speak with the Joplin Humane Society on how the COVID-19 pandemic has affected some families in a way to where they have to give up their pets. I'm Caitlin Shive, that's coming up.
Why a patriotic motorcycle group is giving a Carthage man a unique hello.
It's the holiday shipping season, which any other year is fairly busy, but with coronavirus, it's increased the demand exponentially. I'm Chris Warner with how that demand is impacting shipping services.
This COVID-19 pandemic has affected many, right? But some may not realize it's also had an effect on the lives of animals. KOAM's Caitlin Shive spoke with the Joplin Humane Society to find out more.
The ASPCA released data in August that showed that more than 4.2 million pets in the U.S. were likely to end up in poverty in 6 months' time due to the COVID-19 pandemic. It's been 4 months since that data was released, and the Joplin Humane Society has seen some of those predictions come true.
Some of the things that we may not think about with the pandemic is the way that it's affecting the animals in our lives. There are cases where families have become very ill and not been able to care for their animals, or they're having a hard time due to loss of jobs and things like that from the COVID pandemic, making it so they have to come up with another option for their pets.
While fortunately they have not encountered a ton of animals being given up to them, a handful of pets have been surrendered to their care.
We've had a couple come in that have definitely come from some situations that are heartbreaking, but we're here to help. We're here to help these animals get into new homes.
One of the surrenders is Aiden, a shepherd mix whose family was financially strained from the pandemic and could not take care of him any longer.
Aiden is a great dog. Aiden got brought in due to a financial situation, and he was a little shy, definitely a little nervous about being here, and we've had some absolutely amazing volunteers working with Aiden to bring him out of his shell and to really let him shine.
And the Humane Society is doing what they can to provide resources for families who may be in similar situations.
Encourage anybody who's having to contemplate rehoming their animal to give us a call. We can definitely give them some options and go over some different scenarios of things that they can do in order to make that the best decision, not only for the pet, but for the family as well.
In Joplin, Caitlin Shive, KOAM News.
The Humane Society also has a food pantry and low-cost spay and neuter resources to help combat the surrender of pets because of financial reasons. Carthage resident was honored today for what he's done for the community. Bob Meeks was a band director in Carthage for 40 years and has been a member of the Patriot Guard Riders since 2006. But a series of strokes over the last month has kept him from hitting the open road. So several of his friends in the Patriot Guard rode in to visit and give him a big card.
Do you love those guys?
Oh,
yes. So it was really sweet of them to come by. They're so sweet to him. So he has loved every bit of the Patriot Guard, and he feels that that's part of his service back to his country.
That's awesome, Bob. Continued recovery to you. The Patriot Guard Riders attend funerals also for fallen members of the military and first responders. More plans are released for a new education center that's going to be built at the Community Health Center of Southeast Kansas in Pittsburgh. Freeman Health System donated $1 million towards the new John Parolo Education Center. The $5 million project will be a 16,000 square foot facility that'll train medical and dental residents. The hope is to keep more doctors in rural areas.
We know that if we train those physicians and those mid-levels and those dental hygienists, that they're likely to stay in this area.
Now, according to the Community Health Center of Southeast Kansas, studies show only 2% of new doctors want to practice in a town with less than 25,000 residents. Well, some special boxes are going to some houses this year, several of them for Christmas. The Salvation Army is sending them out to area families in need. They're filled with all the trimmings for a Christmas dinner and toys for the kids.
Oh, I hope the public knows that we have families in our community that need the help, that they're aware of it, that there are people out there. We all need to work together to provide for them.
Officials with the Salvation Army say 600 children and 175 seniors will be getting boxes. Folks in Lamar, Missouri were in the giving mood today, supporting a fundraiser by Show Me Wagyu Charities. The fundraiser benefited more than a dozen area charities, health departments, schools, and organizations. In total, the event raised $315,000. Sometimes Christmas break can be a bit boring for the kids after a while anyway, so the Pittsburgh Parks and Rec Department came up with Camp Now and Then. It started yesterday. Tomorrow is the last day, heads up for that. Camp offers games, exercise, and just everything to keep the mind busy, which is important, right? The Precious Moments Chapel in Carthage, Missouri is selling a piece of history, parts of the Precious Moments Fountain of Angels. Look at that. The fountain was created by Samuel Butcher back in 1997. It includes 120 Precious Moments angels, as well as some fish, turtles, snails, and geese, which were later bronzed. Some of those bronzes are now up for sale. You can contact the Precious Moments if you'd like to buy one. Santa Claus is coming to town, and he's getting a little help from his friends over at the United States Postal Service, UPS, and FedEx, just to name a few. KOAM's Chris Warner explains how they're working to ensure your holiday packages arrive on time, despite the high demand.
Santa isn't the only one making a list and checking it twice. Those doing your holiday shipping, like the United States Postal Service, are doing the same thing, making sure what you order gets to you on time.
We hired a bunch of extra people early. We always bring on extra seasonal employees. We brought on extra transportation. We've got folks working 24/7, 7 days a week.
Officials with FedEx say they're doing the same thing in an email sent to KOAM, saying their workers across the globe are working, quote, tirelessly and safely to meet demands this holiday season. UPS also sent us an email saying they've hired around 100,000 seasonal employees and an additional 39,000 permanent employees to help during what the Postal Service says is an historic time.
A lot of folks are working from home. We're teaching the kids from home, things like that. So a lot of online shipping. A lot of folks won't be traveling this year, so they'll be mailing those very same packages that they ordered for themselves to their loved ones as well.
For the Postal Service, it goes beyond just the daily mail deliveries.
It's all, service mail for us. It's not just packages or just letters or things like that. We're taking care of communication for the people across the country and around the world.
In Joplin, Chris Warner, KOAM News.
While many holiday shipping deadlines have passed, there's still a few options left to get Christmas deliveries out. We've put a link with delivery deadlines on our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. And good luck to you if you still have stuff to ship. Honestly, good luck. A bit later, tensions at many British borders.
A big holiday lockdown in the UK as cases here spike based on a highly contagious new COVID strain. I'm Greg Falcon in London. That's my story. Coming up.
Definitely a mild and very windy day for us today. Temperatures approaching record highs as we went into the upper 60s during the afternoon. Very windy, though, as well. It's still windy outside. It's going to stay fairly windy through the overnight hours and even again into the daytime hours tomorrow. But a great time lapse. Indigo Sky Casino and Resort. Of course, Indigo is just outside of Seneca, Missouri. All right, look at the temperatures. Still, we're holding into the mid-50s, even upper 50s in our western counties. 55 in Lamar, Neosho, 57 in Welch, Iola, also sitting at 55 degrees. And our temperatures just aren't going to drop off much tonight. Southerly winds actually keeping those temps up just a little bit. But look at these winds. We're getting south winds. They've actually increased a little bit over the past couple hours at about 20 miles per hour, but we're getting gusts in that 40 to 50 mile per hour range. Look at these gusts. Over the past hour, we've had nearly 60 miles per hour, which is almost as strong enough to be a severe thunderstorm warning in a thunderstorm when you get winds that strong. So very windy, and the winds are going to stay strong for us tonight. Outside the station, currently sitting at 55, south winds sustained at 22, humidity is at 55%. We do have some clouds skirting through, but our main storm system still sitting back to our north and to our west, and it is rolling out into the northern parts of the plains as we speak, but it really kind of organizes once it passes by. The brunt of the moisture is going to stay to our north. We are going to get a few random showers in here late tonight into tomorrow morning, but that is just about it. Look at 5 a.m. You can see a few green little blobs popping up. And then it really starts developing as it passes through. So here's 7:30 in the morning. Best chance for any rain is going to be on the Missouri side, Arkansas side, and then along and south of I-44 into northeastern Oklahoma. Clouds stick around during the afternoon, but as a cold front pushes through with this rain in the morning, our temperatures start to take a dip. So we're going to start dropping off as we work into the afternoon. So we'll start in the 50s. We'll end up in the mid-40s. We'll be down in the 30s by the time the evening hours roll around. We clear out tomorrow night, gets cold, we drop into lower 20s, and then Christmas Eve, we just really don't warm up. We're going to have plenty of sunshine, but we're only going to go into low to mid 30s for afternoon highs. Now Friday, which is Christmas Day, very cold start, but Friday itself looks pretty good. Weak system on Sunday. Monday and Tuesday look good. A stronger storm system on Wednesday and Thursday of next week. This will give us the chances to get rain and maybe a little bit of snow on the backside. So something we want to keep our eyes on. 55 and dropping for us tomorrow. Christmas Eve, only 33, down to 19 on Christmas Eve night. And then Christmas Day, we rebound back to 44. So you can see our day planner for Christmas Day. Very cold in the morning into the 20s, but the afternoon actually looking pretty good, and then back near 60 by Saturday. So kind of all over the place, Jordan.
Yeah, but no snow for Christmas, as you said. We'll make do. We'll make do.
Yeah, it's going to be a brown Christmas, but a cold one.
Okay, thank you. Coming up in sports, the Riverton Rams looking to continue their perfect season as they take on Pittsburgh. Plus, a Pittsburgh football standout competes in his first wrestling meet after only 2 weeks of practice.
The Riverton boys are off to a hot start this basketball season. The Rams are 4-0 to start the year, including a win over Columbus in their CNC opener last Friday. Now tonight, Riverton hits the road to Pittsburgh. This one, home opener for the Purple Dragons. First quarter, check out the finish from Jamie Richardson. Other end, Elijah Thornton, corner 3. Dragons up 7 after 1. A second quarter, the freshman, Mason English, knocks down a couple threes. Pittsburgh increases the lead to 9 at half. Now in the third, here comes Riverton. Isaac Welch hits a pair of threes in the quarter. Riverton back to within 2 going to the fourth. But this night, all about Javon Grant. Needed 34 to get to 1,000 career points. That bucket right there, that gets him there. Huge night for Grant. He gets to 1,000 career points. Dude dropped 41 tonight. Pittsburgh wins this one 74-66. The Webb City boys at home tonight. They're on the floor against Crane. The Webb started off hot. Rebound kicked out to Cole Vaden. All money there. Then Nakai Howard from mid-range makes it 8-4 Webb City early in the first. Later on in the quarter, Luke Brummett with the jam off the steal. Webb City leads by 13 after the first. To the second now. Inbound pass to Vaden. He will drop in the open 3. That makes it 27-15 Cards. Late in the quarter, let's get one more from Vaden. Vaden on fire tonight. Had a team-high 28. Cardinals go to break with a win. They take it 81-55. Pittsburgh High School junior Caden Barber is a standout on the football field. But last week, he had an unexpected chance to show what he could do in a different sport.
Caden Barber joined the Pittsburgh wrestling team about 2 weeks ago. He joined as a way to stay conditioned for football with no intention of actually competing.
Wrestling conditioning is a good way to condition, and wrestling and football mixed together is a good type of conditioning.
He came in the room just kind of using wrestling to get better for football, and that was our plan.
That plan changed last week.
I think I told him on Tuesday or Wednesday, hey, we need you to wrestle, and he wrestled on Saturday.
On just 3 days' notice, head coach L.C. Davis asked Barber to step in and compete for the Dragons last Saturday in a tournament in Columbus.
He said, yes, sir, what do you need me to do? And he made the weight, which is hard.
He said he had an opening for me because one of our players got injured, so I had to cut a couple pounds, and then I made the weight, and I went with them.
Barber went 2-2 on Saturday with 1 pin in his debut.
He shined when the lights came on, and he was better than expected.
After getting a taste of the action, Barber is now ready for more.
I want to keep doing tournaments and just keep getting better, and it's not really a matter of the wins or losses, just me getting better as an athlete.
Davis is hoping Barber's story becomes a trend.
We're a 5A school. We're the only 5A school in this area, and in order for us to compete with those Kansas City and Wichita schools, we have to have our best athletes out here on the mat. And Caden Barber is one of the best athletes in our school. Matt Smith, another football player, joined the team last year. And if we keep getting these football players out in the wrestling room helping our wrestling team, then we can compete with those bigger schools.
Barber's goal will always be playing football at the next level, but until fall arrives, he's found a new home for the winter.
I want to go D1 somewhere. I think LC, being the good coach he is, the experience he has, will get me there.
And I think he could be a two-sport all-state athlete. We're really glad to have him in the room. We're going to try to take our time with him, but he's such a great athlete. I think he can help this team a lot, so we'll definitely plan on wrestling him some more.
Pittsburgh will be back in action after the holiday break with a road duel at Columbus on January 8th. And that's a look at sports. We're back with more news right after this.
Tensions are building at British borders as thousands of trucks remain stranded after travel bans from most European countries. Fox News senior foreign affairs correspondent Greg Pelcott has more now from London.
We want to go back. We want to go home.
Plenty of anger and frustration as thousands of truck drivers remain stranded at British borders. More than 24 countries have put travel bans or restrictions in place following a new COVID-19 strain that emerged in southern England. Prime Minister Boris Johnson says food and medicine shipments are not being impacted. And while he says he understands the anxiety over the new strain, closed borders are not the answer.
We believe the risks of transmission by a solitary driver sitting alone in the cab are really very low.
There's been a major spike in cases in and around London since the strain was discovered, but early reports that it could be up to 70% more contagious are being disputed by some health officials on both sides of the Atlantic, who point out this isn't the first time the virus has mutated.
We've seen literally thousands of mutations of the coronavirus. It's what these viruses do. It does not appear that this strain is any more severe.
Another big concern, will the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine just approved in the U.S., U.K., and EU be effective against the new variant? The company says more study is needed, but it should work because the proteins are a 99% match to the previous strain.
Scientifically, it is highly likely that the immune response by this vaccine also can deal with the new virus variants.
Public health officials in the U.S. say that they believe the new strain has already traveled overseas, making a travel ban from the U.K. unlikely. In London, Greg Palcott, Fox News.
George Clooney giving us a scoop about his new Netflix sci-fi drama when we come back. George Clooney wrapped up production on his new sci-fi film, The Midnight Sky, weeks before the coronavirus lockdown, but this pandemic changed the tone of his film and turned it into a timely story. Fox's Ashley Dvorkin spoke with the actor-director about the film and also those adjustments.
Come in, Ether. This is Barbo Observatory. Are you receiving this?
George Clooney directed and stars in the post-apocalyptic sci-fi epic The Midnight Sky. He plays a lone scientist racing against time to stop a crew of astronauts from returning home to an unlivable Earth where most of humanity has been wiped out due to a global catastrophe.
Before, the idea was what we could do to one another 30 years from now if we ignore science or if we continue along the lines of sort of divisiveness.
But then the coronavirus pandemic hit and changed the tone of the movie.
We finished in February, just before everybody got locked down. And then once we got to the pandemic, we started cutting towards the idea of our inability to get home, our inability to see one another, my inability to see my mom and dad, you know. And that became a much stronger theme while we were in post-production on the film.
Why is it so quiet? I think the film really has that thing that most great stories have, which is an extraordinary backdrop with fairly ordinary people having to deal with those extraordinary things. And, you know, some of those extraordinary things that we're dealing with in the film are far more present with us now in this world with the pandemic.
I much prefer pretending to do this than actually be going through it. But it has, I mean, it's just made the film even more prescient and relevant. It's quite extraordinary in a totally unimagined way.
I have to warn them about the conditions on Earth.
The film is currently available in select theaters and premieres on Netflix December 23rd. Ashley Dvorkin, Fox News.
Kind of real life there, right? That's our time for tonight. Thanks for joining us. Going to leave you with Christmas lights in Baxter Springs, Kansas. Hey, be safe. Do this all again tomorrow. See you then.